20% of our homes are mobile because that's how we roll. I'm Brooke Mosteller, Miss South Carolina.
The good old American trailer park. Trailer parks, or mobile home parks like these, have a huge image problem, where in many minds, they're just shorthand for poverty. Trailer parks like these certainly aren't very nice, and are going to be far less expensive than a home in a neighborhood just down the road. But who are the people who live in trailer parks, and what's it like living in one? And why are there so many trailer parks in South Carolina? For this video, we're going to talk about poverty here, the economics behind trailer parks, and put into perspective why so many people choose to live in trailer parks in this state and in America. What we'll talk about is very sad, and it's an insight into just how crazy the U.S. housing market has become.
So driving around these trailer parks here in Myrtle Beach, it's a simple life back here in some of these communities, which I can really appreciate. It's a little too close for comfort for me. But what does this say about the state of the U.S. economy? Are people too poor to afford to live in a neighborhood, or they choose to live like this? Well, looking around some of these places in Myrtle Beach and the rest of South Carolina, and I'd say it's more of a need than a want. Let's take a look at what in the hell happened to South Carolina.
$20 million Americans live in mobile homes. And if you added up all the mobile homes in the country, more than 6% of all U.S. houses are mobile homes, just like these. But here in South Carolina, that number is close to 20%. Yes, 1 in 5 homes in South Carolina is mobile. And if South Carolina is the trailer park capital of the world, that would make Myrtle Beach the trailer park HQ. There's trailer parks all over Myrtle Beach, known as a vacation getaway for many Americans. But it's certainly not a vacation for the people struggling with everyday expenses and who live in mobile home communities just like this. Here's a map which has just some of the mobile home park communities listed on Google. This isn't all of them. Many aren't labeled as mobile home parks, and others are just big sections of land with large areas where lots of trailers and mobile homes have gathered throughout the years. Now we're going to explore a handful of trailer park communities here in Myrtle Beach. There's rundown trailer parks, nicer parks, and some are even brand new and don't look too bad, actually. Now, if you look at statistics on which states have the highest percentage of mobile homes, South Carolina is at the top. And what you'll also see is 7 of the top 10 are southern states. And when you compare the poorest states to those which have the highest number of trailer parks, something's missing. South Carolina. It's not the poorest state. So does that mean living in trailer parks here is more of a lifestyle choice? Kinda, but more on that later. The big question is, how did trailer parks and mobile homes become the cheap housing of choice for so many Americans? Part of that answer is people like living in mobile home communities because they're less expensive and many have lots of amenities, although most here in Myrtle Beach certainly aren't very glamorous. 1/4 of all people who live in mobile homes are retired, but 60% of people who live in mobile homes work a full-time job. And the average household income for people who live in trailer parks is less than half the national average. The economics of trailer park life is all over the place. Some own their mobile homes. New single-wide units run about $50,000, and double-wide trailers can run about $80,000 to $90,000, though again, there's very few fancy mobile homes here in Myrtle Beach. Sometimes folks own their trailers and pay lot rent, anywhere from $300 to $2,000 a month, with additional costs like electricity and water. Other times, the very poor will rent both the trailer and the lot, and the trailer park owners will take cash from people with bad credit. But even if you own your trailer, you can still be evicted off the lot, and that's troublesome. It can cost $4,000 to move your trailer to a new park, but many are impossible to move without damaging them. 80% of trailers just like this will never leave their original spots. The whole trailer park thing took off in the 1930s during the Great Depression. Out of necessity, people started living in trailers, which were designed for traveling. They often parked their trailers on the outskirts of cities, and that's how they became associated with the working class and impoverished people. And the trailer park life never really caught on across the world, though Canada has a large number of mobile home parks. Trailers like these are notoriously dangerous. The wiring is susceptible to fires, the insulation isn't thick enough, and they're just dangerous. Building codes back then didn't have high standards, so you have units with structural decay, non-functional plumbing, and deteriorating doors and windows. It's easy for water, bugs, and pests to get in. And of course, these aren't very stable. 40% of all tornado deaths are mobile home residents. Now, part of the draw for mobile home parks is the whole American freedom mantra. You could pack up and move if you wanted to, though that would be cost prohibitive. But the bigger reason for living in trailers is economics. It's clearly cheaper to live in them, allowing families with very low income levels to scrape by with shelter. And as we know, it's tougher and tougher for people to find housing they can afford. Houses aren't being built fast enough to keep up with the population, and affordable homes are being purchased as investments or rented out on Airbnb or being torn down for fancy new condos. So are trailer parks like this the answer to affordable housing? Is this our solution to finding enough housing for our poor population? I mean, here's an example of a brand new mobile home community springing up the day I was in Myrtle Beach. This doesn't look too bad at all, and you can picture a lot of families feeling a sense of pride living in a place like this. But the opposite's what's been going on in Florida for a long time. There's some fancy mobile home parks in Florida, but there's a lot of really run-down trailer parks right in the heart of some communities down there. A good friend of mine, Jose Rodriguez, over at the YouTube channel Southern Life, drove through some trailer parks in the Fort Myers area. It's some of the worst conditions you might see in this country. Parks like this can be considered affordable housing, but the cramped conditions and the overall blight are not most people's idea of living the dream. So right now I'm talking to Jose Rodriguez from Southern Life on YouTube. What's up, Jose? A lot of people know your channel.
Yeah, Southern Life on YouTube, man. What's up?
Yeah. So I'm doing a video on the trailer park capital of the world, South Carolina. I went down to Myrtle Beach and I drove all around. There's trailers everywhere, trailer parks, mobile home parks. You had some perspective. You lived in a mobile home community for a while. Give people an idea on what it's like to live in a mobile home or in a trailer like that.
Yeah, of course. It's not like a regular community where, houses are site built. In a mobile home park, it's a little bit more informal, It's affordable housing, so it just draws a different crowd than, let's say, a gated community. My perspective has been it's pretty challenging, especially, like we got hurricanes come along or tornadoes in the south. Nothing like being in a mobile home during a tornado warning or waiting for a hurricane.
Mm-hmm. What's it like day to day in there? Cramped quarters. What's it like inside? Like, I don't really know what it's like to live in a trailer or a mobile home.
I mean, at times it's humiliating because you feel like you're inferior. I mean, some people don't care, but there's a lot of people who have like an inferiority complex about it. Like a lot of my friends that we went to school with, they would lie about where we lived. And if we were going to meet friends from another neighborhood, we'd meet them at the corner store, at the mall. We wouldn't really have them come over to our neighborhood because once they see those living conditions, it's kind of embarrassing. Think about this, like a mobile home, underneath it, you have insulation underneath the floor, and it's perfect for a possum to just pop up in there and say, hey, free roof, I remember one day I was going to school like at 4:30 in the morning. I wake up, I'm just getting ready, walk into my closet, and the possum had eaten through the OSB flooring. And here I am at 4:30 in the morning getting ready for school. There's a freaking possum in my closet staring back at me. And, when possums, when they settle down in your mobile home, they breed there. So year after year, they keep coming back. So once you get a possum underneath your mobile home or a raccoon and they start a family there, that's their home as well. And it sucks. I mean, sometimes if you have a dog, the dog's barking like at a corner of the mobile home. And you're like, why is the dog barking at the floor? Because it knows there's an animal down there. Mm-hmm. It sucks.
And I imagine the mold's probably bad. There's probably just stuff going on in there that's just not fun.
The sad thing is, if you're listening and you live in a mobile home, you're having respiratory problems, mold can kill you and you'll never know what it was. I was living in a mobile home in Naples, Florida, and I was having all types of respiratory complications. I got rid of my pets. First, I thought it was a dog. We got rid of the birds, got rid of the dogs. We just kept trying to figure out what was wrong. Because the mold in a mobile home, it's inside the walls, you can't see it. But if you were to just tear those panels apart, I mean, they're covered in mold and you can't see it, and it's killing you, and you don't even know what it is. So if you're living in a mobile home and you got some respiratory situations, you might want to move out of there before it kills you.
Mm-hmm. And I know that people that live in mobile home parks and trailer parks, because they clearly, financially don't have a lot of money to afford, like, to live in a neighborhood and a home. But a lot of these people that you saw firsthand, they lived in cramped quarters as it was with up to 12, 15 people in a trailer.
Yeah, I mean, what people don't understand, especially here in South Florida, there's places like Fort Myers, Immokalee. I mean, these are the places where I'm, my area down here. People are migrant workers, for example. Housing is extraordinarily expensive. Salaries don't add up to incomes, don't add up to housing. And I've been in mobile homes where there might be 12, 15 people. Basically, you pay $250 for a place to lay down a mattress. So the person who owns a mobile home, they might be making $2,400 a month out of a single wide mobile home because they're just renting you a spot to sleep. And when you start thinking about, imagine when the virus first came out, and here you got 12, 14 people that all have different jobs, and they all come sleep in the same mobile home at the end of the day. It's really inhumane, But again, it's all some people can afford. And what you see here in South Florida, as far as population density, it's pretty heart-wrenching.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw your video. So you were in Fort Myers, and I saw the video where you went through some of the trailer parks and to see how close some of those were together. Tell me what your thought was on some of the trailer parks you saw right in the smack dab in the middle of Broward County and in other places in Florida.
Yeah, I mean, down here, I'm in Lee County right now, which is Fort Myers. And, the population, I'll give you an example. Like here, you have those mobile homes that are cramped up against each other, right? Like let's say in South Carolina or Alabama, they're on half-acre lots, or, third of an acre lots. These mobile homes here in Florida, they're right up against each other, And then on top of that, you might have 5, 10 people living in a single wide mobile home. And what's crazy is that those people that live in those conditions, they go work on $1 million houses every day, So it's just odd how, like let's say in South Carolina or Alabama or Georgia, you might live in an old beat up mobile home, but you're on an acre, half an acre. Man, down here, these things are on, on a quarter acre. They'll put 6 of these mobile homes, and inside each mobile home that's meant to be for 1 or 2 people, there might be 5, 10 people. I mean, it's definitely a concerning situation, and there's people profiting off of that,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I would say it's unsafe conditions in some of these places, right?
It is. And I think, like people consider, rural poverty and mobile homes as being the absolute worst of it. But you can live out on 2 acres in Alabama on a mountain or something in your little mobile home, and it's might have mold on the side and a tree growing through it. But at least you walk outside and you got some deer in your backyard and a little piece of land. But when you talk about urban places, you're talking about people on top of each other. Then another problem here in Florida is, and you don't have it as much in the South because you've got more clay dirt, which is more absorbent. But down here you have sand, and a lot of these places are on septic tanks. I lived in one place in Naples where my neighbor next door, it was a single wide mobile home. There should have been 3 people at most living in it. There was 9 to 11 people living in this mobile home. They're on a septic tank. And that septic tank is in a sandy area, which means that after everybody showers, that septic tank overflows. Or, you get an afternoon shower, you get a bunch of rain, and now all the smell from all those septic, you're inside your house and you're breathing, you can smell your neighbor's septic tanks because, the sand's not conductive to a septic system. And on top of that, you're talking, 10 people living in a single wide mobile home. Those septic systems from the 80s, 70s, and 60s, they can't handle that. I mean, there's trailer parks in South Dakota. Can you imagine living in a trailer in South Dakota in the winter? Can you imagine
cannot.
that?
No, that I can't believe.
It blows my mind that in the United States, where I'm from Cuba and the Caribbean islands, Haiti, Cuba, poor countries, and poor people can build a concrete block house with, a concrete roof. And here in the United States, the richest country in the world, we build an aluminum box and put somebody to live in it. I just think that's interesting because even poor countries, people build concrete block houses. But, somehow here in the United States, we're living in aluminum cans.
Maybe there's building codes that are in place. I don't know. We need more houses. It's not going to get any better. Yeah.
It's like living in a soda can with a little bit of insulation. A giant soda can. There are some bad places, but keep in mind, that those poor people, if you live in a $10 million house in Naples, those people that live in that mobile home are the ones cutting your grass and the one cleaning your pool. So, I mean, I find it interesting how, like, a lot of times rich people are afraid to go to poor neighborhoods, right? Or to poor places. But keep in mind, when you get your pool cleaned, the person that's cleaning your pool lives in those places. Those people are in your house, cleaning your toilet, fixing your car. I just think it's like the prejudice from rich people to poor people is an issue here, because like rich people here, they won't go to a poor neighborhood, or they won't support poor businesses, you know? Sometimes being in your hood with your people in your neighborhood, you feel happier than living in a mansion by yourself, you know? So don't think, a lot of times you might see somebody in a really poor neighborhood and they might have a really great community going on, you know? You might drive by and see a bunch of junk cars and all that, but, deep down, they might have a great community. Like if one day you fall outside, they're going to come and run and help you, or, they might make sure you got everything you need. Like I said, I think a lot of times in mobile home parks and stuff like that, it's not about how much you make, but how happy you are. And sometimes less is more.
That's right. Yeah.
Hey, shout outs to everybody in every single mobile home park in America, from the ones in the city to the ones in the woods.
This brings us back to South Carolina. Why does South Carolina have such a high number of trailer and mobile home parks? Poverty and weather, mostly. South Carolina isn't the poorest state, but it needs affordable housing as much as other nearby poor states. And it is the nation's 10th fastest growing state. They just need places for all these people to move to, although a lot of the people moving here are wealthy retirees. The weather down here is relatively nice for most of the year, and a lot of poor families can afford to live in parks like this and not have to freeze in the winter. Everybody has a different opinion on trailer parks. Are they a health hazard? Are they ugly? Are they bad investments? Are trailer parks the answer for affordable housing? Or are they a symptom of a failed U.S. housing development that has left millions of Americans behind? Could it be that trailer parks like this are the best way we can house our poor? What do you think? Does this count as an affordable path to home ownership? Or should we do better for our poor population? Or can we do better for our nation's poor? That's a good question.
You sent me a link that showed a trailer or a mobile home in Immokalee that was $130,000 for a little small. Is that just the state of the housing market? People would spend 130 grand?
So yeah, right now there's a tiny mobile home in Immokalee. The area is probably only 3% U.S. citizen, I believe, or American-born citizens. Probably over 95% are foreign-born migrant workers or their children. So you're talking an area that's maybe 3% white. Most of these people coming from Haiti, Mexico, other countries to work in agriculture. We need them. I mean, I don't know if you like Jersey Mike's.
Yeah, no, I don't eat there, but a lot of people.
I love their sandwiches, right? Beautiful ripe tomato, right? Who doesn't like a nice, good tomato or any other vegetable? Well, somebody had to pick that tomato, and those are the housing conditions that your workers have to live in. So, we all benefit from that situation, but it's incredible how $130,000 for a single one mobile home that's in deplorable condition in an area that's not desirable. I wouldn't want my children to live in a place like that, where it's a migrant population that's always in rotation. Nobody's really investing in those communities. It's just, and the reason it's $130,000 is because somebody will buy that and they'll rent it out to 10 people at $300. Now they're making $3,000 a month. It's not even that the mobile home is worth it. It's just the fact that where it's at, you can actually do stuff like that. I think it's unfortunate, but again, migrant workers everywhere, they have to have housing, and it's not going to be the best or the most expensive.
Yeah, well, down by you, it's definitely migrant workers. I think up in South Carolina in Myrtle Beach, where I was, which is pretty much the trailer park capital of the country, it's more of a lifestyle or a choice based on, I would say, need. There's a lot of people that just choose to live in a small trailer park or a mobile home community, which I think they love living there. Some people don't have the finances to be able to afford to rent out a house. In your experience where you were, what percentage of people were living there because they chose to versus
percentage of people that had no option?
That's a very interesting question, because I've met people who will spend $250,000 on a mobile home. Like here in Florida, you're seeing people now in a really bad neighborhood. They'll stucco the mobile home, put a metal roof on it. They'll take out the wood floors and pour a concrete slab with footers, and they'll attach a garage to it because they love their hood. You know, they don't want to leave their neighborhood because they like that vibe. So I think, I don't know what percentage are there by choice. But like in the neighborhood where I'm from, the prices that are ridiculous. It's not so much that the structures are worth it, but that people want to live in these neighborhoods because they like the vibes, they like the culture. Like it's almost like it's like a family almost in these parts. Like if it's a good place, people want to live in. Like the one that I'm from, you could offer somebody $300,000 for their property, they wouldn't sell it because that's their hood, and they've lived there for 30 years and they know everybody and they don't want to leave that.
Yeah. When you buy a mobile home or in a park, are you buying the land and the mobile home, or just the mobile home? Like, how's that work?
Okay, that's a great question to ask. The one that I'm from, you own the land. Now, the ones where you pay lot rent, those are to me, they're frauds, because you're paying as much as a mortgage on, like, there's mobile home parks here in the Fort Myers and Naples area that are paying something like, kid you not, $900 a month for lot rent. You might as well get a mortgage. And you'll pay $90,000 for the mobile home, right? But you don't own the land underneath it. Like if they decide that they don't want to rent to you, in theory, I guess you would have to remove the mobile home. You can't take a mobile home out of a park. It doesn't even fit out. You have to, I don't know how that works, but yeah, I would definitely recommend, if you're looking to buy a mobile home, that you buy one where you own the land, especially in Florida. If those lot rent things, they're scams, because they'll start you out at $600 and every year they're raised $50. Like I know people, because they've been there so long, that they're paying up to $1,400 a month for lot rent, because every year they go up $50.
So the one you lived in, did you guys, like, you owned the mobile home and you rented the lot, or you owned the land and the mobile home?
Yeah, we were lucky that we owned the land. And let me tell you, it's the worst a mobile home is the worst investment you can make. I mean, literally, other than what I'm doing now, which is buying a new car and taking it straight to the rim shop. That's pretty stupid too. But I mean, it's just, you're never going to make money on a mobile home, because, and if you do, you're just downright lucky. It's not like you buy a home and appreciates in value. A mobile home never appreciates. It's a horrible investment. You can always go to the mobile home lot and buy a brand new one. Like, it's always available. Like, I can go right now and I can buy a new mobile home for $89,000. I think it was $89,000 4 years ago. So it costs the same to build. It's never a good investment. And if you own the land, it's a little bit better. The land can appreciate, but the mobile home, it's never going to appreciate. It's not like a CBS home.
So do people rent mobile homes in these big giant parks as well?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Now the ones that are like, that have HOAs and they're inside parks of communities, and especially like 55 and older, that's really common here in Florida. It's not as much up north, but in Florida, 55 and older is very common. These communities, some of them won't let you rent. But if you own the land, you can do whatever you want unless you have an HOA on top of you. So if you're buying, that's also something you need to look into, because you could buy a mobile home, not want it, now you're not allowed to rent it. What do you do with it?
Yeah. Well, it's the state of the U.S. Housing market right now, and the shortage of available affordable homes. People are packed into these trailer parks. They can't afford really any other options, and I don't think it's going to get much better right now. Well, I mean, the prices to buy and rent these places is so much money, and like, people have no choice.
Check this out. Before this whole spike in home prices, a single wide mobile home built in 1967 was renting out for $1,400 across the street from me.
Dang.
$1,400. And again, that's because you could have 4 people team up and each pay $500, and now you're at $2,000. So yeah. I mean, if you could get it, and that was like competition, like you couldn't. And that was before this housing crunch, way before all this madness happened. That's what it was renting for.
Hey guys, so if anything I just talked about upset you or made you sad or mad, Well, then do something about it. Call your local leaders and demand change. Chip in and help those in need. Make your community better, because communities don't get better without hard work and determination. America's a great place. It just needs some more love and pride.
This is Sage, Nick's manager. This has been a Corner House Entertainment production.
And are you looking to move and need advice? I do consulting. That's right. I'll sit down and talk about where the next perfect place for you and your family should be. I do it all the time. Together, let's find you a new home that's safe and checks all your boxes. You can get my email in the description to find out how I can help you find your perfect relocation.